Well, hello everyone, and thank you all for joining us, and thank you all for our participants in the meeting today. My name is Connor Jones. I'm the program coordinator for the Buck-I-SERV program here at Ohio State. I've met many of you or talked to many of you before, but it's nice to see some familiar faces again. Joining me today is Rebecca Delo, who's our senior coordinator for Buck-I-SERV. Rebecca is going to be mostly monitoring the Q&A today, and then we'll be kind of circling back on that at the end. Up until then, we're going to follow through with a couple different prepared questions as well as some introductions and go through it that way. So just a couple other things. So first I want to introduce all of our panelists. So Shelley Levine joining us from Gay Men's Health Crisis. Beth Hatch and Cynthia Rodriguez joining us from Pathways Early Education Center. And sorry, go back to Shelley. We were meant to be at GMHC this summer, but we were not actually able to make it, unfortunately. But we look forward to working with her and the organization again, and have worked with GMHC many times in the past. Pathways, we were Early Education Center. We were there this past spring. I was actually there myself this past spring, which was really great. And we've gone many times over the past few years to be able to work with them. So thank you all for joining us today. And then finally, Heisey Martinez and Steve Boisvert from Community Collaborations International. We've worked with Steve for a long time now, and we're just there working with Community Collaborations in Biloxi over the spring break. So, you know, we're very excited to do that. And Heisey works with the Community Collaborations program in Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, we were not able to make it to Puerto Rico this summer, but we look forward to hopefully, you know, reconsidering and reviewing that program going forward. So thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. And we also had one webinar panelist who was not able to join us. That was Maddie Connolly from Operation Breakthrough, but she passed on some resources that we'll include on our webinar page along with the recording of this webinar. So just a general gist of how today is going to work. So there's a Q&A is activated at the bottom. You'll notice the chat function is not active just because it can kind of interrupt the flow, and the Q&A function is just really easy for us to get to and to be able to field from there. So anyone who has questions, please ask in the Q&A. We'll get to some of them at the end of the webinar, and some we'll actually probably get to before then. So just ask your questions in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get to them to the best of our ability. The microphones and video are also turned off for all non-panelists. So for any attendees who are in that awkward situation where they're like, can you see me? Can you hear me right now? Don't worry, we can't. Don't worry about that. Remember, you can just ask your questions in the Q&A. And then finally, I will direct questions one at a time to panelists to keep flow kind of going and making sure that it goes smoothly. Because Community Collaborations and Pathways have two panelists here, I'll start with Steve and Beth, and then Cynthia and Heisey, as you want to weigh in on additional things that you have to add, please feel free to do so. I just want to keep it flowing and make sure we can get to everyone and everyone's got a chance to speak during that time, and it keeps us from awkwardly doing that thing where we're like, are you talking or am I? So we'll keep it going in that direction. Okay, so first I want to start off with a little poll, and panelists, you're allowed to vote on this as well. I'm kind of interested in hearing, what is your connection to Buck-I-SERV, and also what are you most interested in learning about today? So that poll is active, so take a chance to vote on that when you get a chance.
Connor, I'm trying to submit the answer, but it's not allowing me to.
Huh. Interesting. I don't know why that's the case. Don't worry about it. We'll take what we have and move it forward from there.
I think it doesn't open up for panelists.
Okay.
Okay. Take another second or two to vote. Okay, I'm just gonna end polling there. From my side, looks like we're seeing some former staff trip advisors, some interested future students, and most people are showing what they're most interested in are how community partners are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and ways to support them virtually. Okay, great. So thank you all for participating in that. So now we're going to move into kind of just the general flow of what this session is going to look like. So I'll ask each panelist kind of to give themselves a little introduction personally, and also like kind of an introduction to your organization and what your organization does. And then kind of how your operations have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and how you're adjusting to those changes. So Shelley, do you want to start us off?
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this. So I'm Shelley Levine, the Director of Training in the Volunteer Center at GMHC, Gay Men's Health Crisis. And we are Manhattan-based, though I'm reporting from my home in Brooklyn. And we are a comprehensive social service agency. We primarily have services for folks who are HIV positive, but we also do a lot of work around prevention and education. So we also serve folks who are maybe HIV negative, maybe more at-risk communities. So we serve a lot of people in a lot of different ways in sort of all the social services ways that you can think of through a meals program, mental health, substance abuse. We have a workforce program that works with folks around doing job readiness support. We have a wellness program where we have volunteers that come in and provide massages and haircuts and teach art classes and all sorts of things for our clients. So we have a wide array of services. We have a lot going on. In terms of how we've been impacted by COVID-19, so our building operations are closed. They've been closed since I think March 15th, whatever that Monday was. And we actually had two alternative spring break groups with us in that last week. One even had to leave early because their school said you need to get home. So it was a kind of a hectic week for those last ASB groups. But we have closed building operations, but we're providing a fair number of services remotely. So everyone right now is working from home. In terms of our meals program, we normally have congregate meals where we serve lunch Monday through Thursday and dinner on Friday in a dining room that serves about 350 to 400 clients. So obviously we're not doing that, but we are doing a combination of home delivered meals, which is just a brand new thing that was created in the moment of this crisis. They're actually doing a delivery over the next couple of days. They're also sending clients, and when I say they, I mean the meals department. They're also sending clients $50 gift cards, basically like Visa gift cards, so they can just go out and do shopping. So it can supplement what other assistance they might already have, like food stamps or cash assistance. We're also providing still our mental health and substance use counseling is still happening over the phone. So that's still moving forward. The workforce program, it's still providing some job search support and just general job support of any kind via phone. One of the things that's impacted, we're not doing new intakes, that sort of thing, but there's a fair number of things that can still happen. Just general case management is still happening via phone. And we've added some new things. Like I actually signed up to help with wellness calls, which is something new that we started doing. So we have a group of us who every week call the same clients just to check in, see how they're doing, see if we can support them in any way, and then referring them accordingly to other departments. So yeah, there definitely has been an impact in how we're doing things, but thankfully we're still able to provide a fair number of services. One thing I will add, because I think it's pretty interesting, so we have our own testing center that does free HIV testing and free sexually transmitted infection testing. And they actually just last week put together a program where they're actually sending free HIV home testing kits to folks. So even that service, they have figured out a way to maintain for our clients or anyone else who needs it. So that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Shelley. Beth and Cynthia, do you want to go next? I know you also sent me some slides and a video, so if you'd like, I could start with that, or you could do introductions and we can play that after, whatever you prefer.
if you would do the video, we'll start off that way. Is that cool?
I live in the town called Immokalee. Immokalee means my home. My mom and dad work in the fields during the day, picking vegetables. Sometimes they'll take me with them. We are very hard workers. We are a proud family. But then one day, I went somewhere new. It was really fun. I made so many friends. And I learned a lot. And I know my future is different.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Connor. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for playing that. We just thought it was just important to, for Connor, I know when you flew down here, I didn't get to see you this last trip, and I'm so sorry for that. We were just in the beginning of all this new whatever normal is. So, but we have so enjoyed all of the OSU students coming and put on Ohio State today. So OHIO, since you're all muted. There you go. I have with me Cynthia, and I'm going to just let Cynthia just kind of start first coming off the video because I think she can play a big part in that, and then we'll tell about COVID and what we've been doing. I'll let you go, Cynthia, and I'll be quiet.
Hi, everyone. Like Ms. Beth mentioned, my name is Cynthia Rodriguez, and I am part of Pathways Early Education Center. I'm a recent graduate from Florida Gulf Coast University and continue my education with my master's degree at FGCU as well. Being a part of Pathways has changed everything tremendously. I am from Immokalee, originally where Pathways is located. I grew up in a migrant household in which I had to travel to 3 different states every year along with my 2 older sisters. And I had to migrate to different states because my parents had to travel with the crops, picking tomatoes. And when I didn't have school during the summer, my summertime was working out in the fields. I would be out there when I was 5 years old until I was 18 years old. I decided, you know what, this is not for me. I need to break this path, and I need to find something else that's for me. So education was the key for success in my story. And seeing all these students at Pathways going through the same thing I'm going through or went through with my older sisters and my family, seeing them leaving to other states along with their parents, following the crops, is just very challenging. And I'm here to help out all the students that I can, especially at Pathways, seeing their smiles as they enter the door and excited to learn. And they're just as little as 4 weeks old up to 5 years old. We're preparing them for kindergarten at Pathways. So it's always exciting to see and how I can help these children at Pathways. So being able to be in my community and helping them has been just a great impact.
Connor, do you want us to continue the whole thing, or do you want us to, I don't want to, I know that
you continue on and
finish. Okay. Yeah. All right. Maybe if you could pull up the slide with just all kind of the collage. They can kind of look at that as we kind of continue. Perfect. All right. So this time last year was the same exact time when we had our, the Buck-I-SERV students in May last year. And this is one of the busiest weeks, probably this week and the week before Christmas is our busiest time. And the Buck-I-SERV students are moving and grooving. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. Last year we had a chamber event. We dedicated a room with one of our local partners that is a smaller version from World Vision USA, and so they were part of that. There was news coverage. It's funny when we're all in this quarantine that we're in right now, and then I looked back at this time last year. It was like, whoa, we were all very, very busy. Oh, and don't forget Cinco de Mayo. They all dressed up and they were treated to lots of yummy stuff. But when everybody arrives, they actually start their week with Cynthia. So Cynthia, why don't you tell them a little bit when you take them on the tour of the community?
So when students arrive, which is usually by Monday, the first thing they see is me, and I greet them and we take them off on a tour, which was a recent donation. We had a van that was generously donated to us. So we take all the Ohio State students around the entire Immokalee. We show them the living conditions that many of these children are living in. We show them the fields so they can see the crops where many of these parents are working on a daily basis after they drop off their child at school and they go out to work a long day of work picking tomatoes or working at a packing house. And we show them around the community, show them the packing houses, show them where many of the parents live, and along with the children. We also get to show them the Lake Trafford Arena, which sometimes they can see crocodiles out there, which is their alligators, and it's pretty nice that they get to see that up close. We take them out to eat at a local restaurant, Mi Ranchito, which is a family-owned restaurant, authentic Mexican restaurant, I can say. And we just take them out on a tour for the first day. And as the week goes by, they get to enjoy being with the kids, whether it's out in the garden, as you can see displayed on the images, or creating fun activities outdoor, or carrying the very young children. As little as 4 weeks, there's newborns that are at Pathways, and it's just nice to see the engagement that these children have with the Ohio State students that come, and they're always smiling and always excited to meet new people. So Ohio State students, when they come out to Pathways, it's just a tremendous week for these children, because they look forward to spending time with new people, meeting other people, and it's very nice to see that. So this collage that we created is just something that sums up what the Ohio State students do at Pathways when they come for the entire week. And like Ms. Beth mentioned, we also give them, they go out on a jet ski. They get to go out to the beach and enjoy that. But of course, because of what's going on, unfortunately, many of the students couldn't come out. But hopefully soon we'll go back to normal and we get to enjoy the Ohio State students at Pathways.
And I'll just finish up on that. One of the reasons that we take that it's so important that we show the students the community that we live in. When you fly into the airport or they drive from wherever, sometimes they fly into Tampa, or sometimes there's some students that have taken the whole trip down in a car. So just depends on the group. But we our center, and we are in Collier County, one of the largest counties in Florida. And so the city is Naples, and Immokalee, the town that our center is in, is about 30 miles east, and it is the rural migrant farming community, as Cynthia has explained. And it's a vast, vast difference of environment for the same county. And no different from the Buckeye students, just with our normal volunteers and mentors and future donors and people that we bring out, you need to see that vast difference. And one of the reasons why we take everybody on the tour of the community is because they're blown away. They're blown away. A lot of times students, you all know your peers who have gone to other countries and to see some of the conditions. This is just in Florida. This is just in the west coast of Florida, 30 miles east of where everything is, some of the most wealthiest people in our world reside in Naples, especially during the season. So, and one of the things that I know many of our families, they even go up to Ohio, during the summer months for the ones that migrate. Immokalee is kind of special because the word Immokalee means my home. And a lot of times, Cynthia, you correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, but many families that migrate, obviously they migrate just as we say, but Immokalee, for those who are from Immokalee, truly return home at some point. And that's why it actually has that name of home. For those families that we do serve on a normal summer, if they do have to relocate, we save their spot because those children need that consistency. It looks a lot different when we fast forward to today, because as you know, Immokalee is one of the fifth highest tomato producers in the country. So when you eat your salad or your cheeseburger, actually cheeseburgers are probably hard to find right here right now, but what have you, when you eat some of that produce, it's picked by our families. They've touched it, they picked it, or they worked with it in the packing house. And obviously all that has truly come to a very slow, because the need across our country with restaurants and everything closing isn't there. So our families have been hit hard. We stopped operations on the 17th of March. We are still on a daily basis reaching out to our families. And so you can kind of see in some of the pictures on the bottom right-hand corner, those are weekend food kits. Some of the produce in the top right-hand corner is produce from the farms because there's been so much excess. Our staff went in and safely distributed them. We've had to do everything in a drive-through fashion. Our teachers are so creative. They're doing story times and lessons and any of that. So I've actually challenged some of the old Buckeye students that's friends with us on Facebook and stuff to send me a story being read or something that we will share with our students. Our parents, they may not all have computers living in poverty, but they all usually do have smartphones so they can connect to Facebook. And our parents have been, I'm really, really proud of our families because although they are suffering and you can see the diaper distribution, we had to drive through there. They are so trying to do their best to work with their children, and they understand the importance of education. For all of us, did you know that the majority of your brain was developed before you were 3 years old? So when we start at 4 weeks, that's a class of 2038. We get to start that foundation for that early, and that's a huge responsibility we have on our part. But they come from these poverty-stricken, much so less than any of us have. But then when they get to school at Pathways, it's their place to be safe and secure, and they grow and mature. So we've reached out during this time to really meeting their needs, partnering with United Way and our community foundation and things like that to make sure that their rental needs and utilities are met. And we're really staying in touch. All of our staff recently had a toxic stress training because doesn't matter where you live, how old you are, that is affecting everyone right now, especially us. So we just say our doors are open. One of those pictures on the thing, you don't have to go back, was Christian. And he's seen us twice. He brought his family when they were vacationing. And then there was someone else that wanted to come during spring break, and we were just closing, so I felt terrible. And the last group didn't get the jet ski tour. That is generously donated by a good friend of mine who is an Ohio State alumni, and they do about a 2-hour dolphin manatee jet ski tour. We've had lots of laughs seeing some of those girls drive those jet skis, but we won't tell. They've all been successful. No one's gone in the water, but they've had dolphins at their feet. So Connor, you have to come back so that we can do that when everything reopens. And we encourage you, if you want to get our newsletter or see us on Facebook. I've written more recommendation letters for many of you. We just encourage, I love how I get the emails or the texts to say, how is so-and-so? You definitely do not leave with your heart, or at least all of it. Our kids definitely steal it. So may you all be safe, and thank you for including us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. Okay, so we'll keep moving on. Steve, in Heisey, if you would go ahead and introduce yourselves and your organization and how you're dealing with everything that's going on right now.
Okay, well, I'll start out. I'm Steve Warvera. I'm the director of the program. We really have been an organization that started with disaster relief in kind of all of our domestic sites that we are currently running. We run a domestic site in Biloxi. That got started in 2005 when Hurricane Katrina hit, and we've just gone back to that community year after year. We're doing the same thing in Panama City Beach, Florida, where we responded to Hurricane Michael, and that's kind of an ongoing program we're doing there. And we started a new project in San Antonio that was dealing with the migrant issues on the border this year. So those are our 3 permanent sites. And we focus on disaster relief. Sure, my phone's going to ring. And and that tends to, and so we'll probably be looking for a disaster relief site. If something happens during hurricane season or something like that, we tend to respond to that. So that's one of the unique things about us, is that we're looking for places that are in special need, and that's really how our Puerto Rico project got started as well, responding to disasters in Puerto Rico. We work with a variety of organizations, but our primary focus is disaster recovery, community resiliency, and environmental restoration. Those 3 pieces are really important in all communities, but communities that experience hurricanes and things like that, the environmental restoration work we do a lot of times is related to hardening shorelines and building resiliency so that the next hurricane that comes is not such a disaster. It's dealing with people in floodplains and other issues like that. We work with Boys and Girls Clubs. We work with Head Start programs. We work with food banks. We work with homeless shelters. We work with kitchens. We work with the Audubon Society. We work with departments of environmental protection. And so we have a variety of projects. When Ohio State's been coming down to Biloxi for years, I don't know how many years now, maybe 4 or 5. And the community looks forward to Ohio State showing up every spring, because that's what's been going on. And so we have our partners that we've been working with since 2005 that we put our Ohio State students to work with. We're looking at, this year we plan, we're not an ongoing, like the other organizations that are here today. We don't have ongoing programming. We have programming that we put together when we have groups that are going to our various locations. So we work with, like I said, Boys and Girls Clubs, food banks, and folks like that have ongoing programs. But what we do is handle all the logistics and do project management for our teams that come down from various universities. This gives the students a real opportunity to get a real feel for a community and what's going on in a lot of different places. That's like creating that safety net that people have. They meet these great social entrepreneurs that are running little restaurants that give free food away, environmental organizations that are preserving lands that are in a land trust. So a lot of these like smaller local organizations that wouldn't, we put together their own spring break program. We are able to serve them because we're kind of bringing them in and farming them out in the local communities in San Antonio, Biloxi, and in Panama City Beach. The other place where we had, and our impact from the cancellation of everything the second week of March was pretty awesome in that it really took away like 60% of our break programs, starting with the second week of March and going all the way through, everything's canceled through September. And we don't know how long that's going to go on, so that's one of the things that we're really trying to deal with. We left a lot of irons in the fire, especially in Puerto Rico. And I'm going to turn it over to Hasey in a minute. She's going to talk to you about the Puerto Rico program. But it's just really left us with, a lot of things that we had scheduled. We bought building materials because, we set everything up for when people that get there, and we had to pull the plug on everything. I think that, we are planning on having a full roster of projects. We also do have some projects in Costa Rica, Guatemala, and some other places in Central America. But, our primary projects are domestic, and Puerto Rico are really our primary projects. And we do plan on having it up and going if people are assigning students to do these types of trips, say in December through, we figure it's probably going to be December before we would have anything ready to go with volunteers. That's what we're shooting for. And hopefully by spring, we can have a reasonable spring season. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think in relation to dealing with COVID, I think that that's something that, at least through this next year, I think it's something that we're going to be dealing with. In the spring, I think we'll be dealing with it. And I think we will probably be implementing some kind of changes to the way we house people, which is our biggest challenge, is how do you house people in a safe way. So those are the kind of things that we're going to deal with, and kind of see how things play out, and see what the rules are at that point, and see, what people are doing. Who knows, by then maybe we'll be able to say, well, yeah, all these people are tested, they're corona free, they can go work in the community, who knows. But I think, I think we're probably going to end up making some adjustments no matter what happens, just to kind of raise our level of, being able to keep people safe from any kind of viruses and things like that. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Hasey, and Hasey can talk to you. Hasey runs everything in Puerto Rico. We have a group of people working with us in Puerto Rico that's just really great. And we really left a lot of balls in the air in Puerto Rico just because, the rug got pulled out, and we had a lot of work planned with partners. So we're hoping to be able to get back on track with that before too long. Okay, Hasey?
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Hasey Martinez, and I am the Community Collaborations International Projects coordinator here in Puerto Rico. Like Steve was telling, all of you, we've had a pretty big hit with everything going on. We had a lot of projects that weren't finished due to, everyone having to go back to their homes. We had actually 5, we're lucky to have at least 5 groups come in that second week of March. But there were a lot of projects that got started and were not able to finish because right now here in Puerto Rico, one of the biggest necessities with families is roof sealing treatments. A lot of, I don't know if you know, a lot of the structures of the homes here in Puerto Rico are concrete, and a lot of them had flat roofs. And we're in the tropics, we're in the Caribbean, so it rains a lot. So with hurricane season and everything going on, a lot of the damage that hurricanes do with the constant, rain and everything is the roofs, the treatment from the roofs, it actually starts erosion, the erosion. So, there are a lot of homes that they have like roof leakage all over their homes. So there's a lot of family leaving, actually leaving in those conditions, where a lot of them have like mold issues, mold problems. And so that's something that we actually started to tackle and try to, work out with a lot of our volunteers. The thing with, roof sealing treatment is a project that needs to be done in phases and in different steps. And we did purchase a lot of materials and a lot of, these treatments to, give it to the homes. But unfortunately, we weren't able to finish a lot of them due to, all of the groups being pulled and had to cancel due to the pandemic and everything going on. all over the world. So that is something that we're kind of trying to, strategize now and see what new things we can come up for, next season. Because right now everything, unfortunately, for the year has been canceled due to everything that's going on. Right now, everything is really like uncertain. We have to just wait and see what's going to happen, what the new rules, the new parameters are going to be, just for the safety of everyone involved. And just looking forward to see these families get the help that they need and get their homes fixed so they can live in conditions that are safe for them and all of the families involved. So here in Puerto Rico, we do work with a lot of organizations as well, community organizations. Right now, everything is kind of in a halt because of everything going on. I've been a little bit involved with giving out food and to different, because right now everything is closed. A lot of people are actually going without anything to eat. Something that we were really concerned was the Boys and Girls Club. They had to close, and a lot of these kids, this was their safe place. This was the place that they went to because they are from a lot of like single moms homes, and they actually went there. And sometimes, because the Boys and Girls Club provides them a meal, and sometimes these kids with the meal in school and the one that they got in the Boys and Girls Club was how they get fed. So right now, school's being closed, and the Boys and Girls Club as well. It's a major concern about if kids are just going hungry and not being fed, or there's a lot of families here that unfortunately the government is really is being slow with the help that they're giving away, and so a lot of people are in desperate need of food right now. There's a lot of people going hungry. So that's something that I've been working with a friend of mine. She's a chef, and she's been starting this community outreach program where we get donations and she cooks, and then we give the food away to a lot of people. So we put it on social media, advertise it and everything, so people will go to the spot and get it kind of like a drive-through kind of a situation. So that's something that we're trying to help out as any way we can, until we can figure out how to get into our normal, as we can call it, situation and volunteering projects.
Speaking of that, Hasey, could you just go through like a typical normal week when a group comes to Puerto Rico to volunteer?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, we start by picking them up at the airport. We have this really nice place where we house them, our volunteering facility. It's a camp, it's a bunk style camp. We do have single rooms as well. So we transport them to our volunteer facility where we give them the introduction. We give them an orientation on how the week's gonna run. Obviously, before they even arrive to Puerto Rico, I already have their whole week, their whole itinerary schedule, and I sent this to team leaders, so they already have that information. So we go through that through every project, day by day, what we're going to be doing, the homes, the community we're going to be at, so they have a little bit of knowledge or where they're going to be. Why are we doing this? It's really important that they know the why, the who's, and the impact that that volunteers have, because like a lot of the people that not all of the people that we help, they don't have any other means other than us. These are people that after Hurricane Maria and Irma hit, didn't get any help from FEMA, didn't get any help from any government agency. So that's where CCI and our volunteers come in to help these people out. So we go out to the homes, we do our volunteering. We provide them with meals for the day. We usually do our weeks is 8 days. So without the day of, sorry, I'm kind of spacing out here. My bad. So the day of the arrival and the day of the departure, they have, I think, we have 5 days of volunteering work. We usually combine this volunteer work between disaster relief projects, Boys and Girls Club. We work with environmental organizations as well. I like to kind of do an itinerary for each group that is custom to what they need and or what they want to work on or what they want to involve themselves when they come to Puerto Rico. So that's something that I really like to reach out with volunteers and team leaders as well to ask them, where they want to, work, but we usually send them to where they're needed the most. So usually right now, like I said, we are doing the disaster relief projects. We are kind of like heads on with that because right now there's where the most needs are. Because like I said, we have 200 plus families in need of roof sealing treatment, and that's just in the east part of the island, which is where we've been working. So usually that's how the week goes by. We have our leisure day, which is usually the day before the volunteers depart, where we do a catamaran trip. It's kind of like coral reef exploration in a really cool island. It's called Icacos in the east side of the island, and it's really nice. It has like clear blue waters, and our volunteers really like and love the experience. And especially for those that have never been to the ocean, it's a really nice experience for them to actually be there, enjoy that. We have some of the trips we have enjoyed, like dolphins, turtles, stingrays. So they're really excited when they're at the catamaran and they get to experience that and be at the ocean. And we're always sad to see them leave, and they're always sad to go. So that's something that that it's nice because a lot of them, this year I think we had like 5 groups that came last year, and they came this year as well. So that is something that is close to my heart because that means I'm doing, my job well. And that means that people are caring for Puerto Rico and my island. So that makes me very proud.
Well, thank you all for sharing. And it's great to see the passion you all have for your organizations and the work that you do and are finding new and innovative ways to make sure that you're still getting that work done. In that vein, I think one of the things that we're thinking about a lot is, because we can't be there physically and because we can't be there volunteering like on the ground with you all, what are ways that Buck-I-SERV can like virtually support you, whether that's us as an organization or the students or just active citizens in general? What are ways that we can support you virtually or like from a distance at this time, and ways that we can continue to work together even if we can't be physically there? So Steve, do you want to start us off on this one?
Well, it's, we really don't have a lot of stuff people could do. I would say that, what I'm seeing right now is that one of the big things that is on our plate right now as volunteers and that people can start to address is food insecurity. I think that food insecurity is going to have a big explanation. Hasey touched on it a lot about what's going on in Puerto Rico, but I think the same is true in a lot of places. So, I would encourage people to take a look at ways that they can support their food banks and support anybody who's providing meals and foods to people. There's a lot that can be done. I think for the next year, we're going to have our vulnerable populations, especially our older people, a lot of older people who are used to taking care of themselves and are not signed up for Meals on Wheels and these other things, are going to need some support. And I think those organizations right now are the ones that really we need to really focus on, because I think that's where the need's really going to show is really going to show itself. The other area that might be possible is community-supported agriculture. And, in our San Antonio project, as we're getting ready for the future, that's one of the things we're really looking at is how can we put more volunteers to help with community-supported agriculture, which really helps to build that resiliency within a community when it comes to food supply. So, that's the recommendation that I would give at this time to people. We're kind of in a holding mode. We don't have a lot of stuff going on when we don't have volunteers on the ground. So I think there's a lot of organizations out there that are trying to figure it out, that their missions are being strained by the current situation. When we have our teams back on the ground, I'm sure we'll get our act together and make it all happen. But I think at this point in time, really the folks that are on the ground dealing with the current crisis, finding ways to get food to people and, shop for people and do things like that. People talk about the shopping cart businesses and stuff like that. Well, a lot of people can't afford that. I mean, there needs to be a volunteer aspect to that needs to be increased. And that's something people can do and find opportunities to do. I don't know, Hasey, do you have any ideas about ways that people could support you virtually at this time?
Sorry?
Do you have any ideas how people could support you virtually at this time?
Well, right now, like I said, our major concern and our major issue right now, it's people, it's food. People not being able, because right now a lot of people are out of work. So there's a lot of families that aren't able to actually provide or even get, groceries for their families. So a lot of the initiative going on and going around in Puerto Rico is making sure that people don't go hungry and they have, a meal at least each day for their families. So I know it's kind of like, virtually, it's kind of like a stretch because you guys are in the mainland in the States, and we're in Puerto Rico. But right now, like I said, there's a lot of initiative that you guys have in the States that unfortunately we don't have here in Puerto Rico. So right now, what we're focusing is on local, community organizations, and right now there's just people, just regular people trying to help other people, and making sure that that they're getting food on their bellies. So other than, I'm not sure, virtually, just maybe spread the word and see if people can, get help out here, either donating to local organizations or, that are in the works of providing food for people. So that's the way I would. We do have, we're also Central Kitchen here in Puerto Rico. So we do have different organizations helping out. We have the locals as well. Like right now, we're just, people trying to help people right now here. So that's what we're kind of focusing on right now.
Cool. Thank you all for sharing. Shelly, how about you? What are ways we could virtually support you right now?
Yeah, so similar to other organizations, I think virtual volunteering is a little bit difficult now, but I would say a couple things that I can think of specific to GMHC. So we do our annual AIDS Walk New York, which is usually the third Sunday in May, and it's a big walk in Central Park, and it's a fundraiser, our biggest fundraiser of the year that's been going on since I think it's 1987. And fortunately, we're not having the actual event this year, but it is going virtual, and they moved it to June 7th. So folks can get involved that way. It is a fundraising opportunity, and you can basically become a virtual walker like the rest of us will be on that Sunday and participate in the way that's laid out, that's going to be laid out. and just help to fundraise and spread the word that way, because those funds essentially are helping us to support our current mission, but also help us develop these new programs like the meal delivery that is completely new to us right now, and just trying to figure out, because things are going to look so different, even moving forward, helping us to support these new potentially remote ways that as staff even, and hopefully volunteers, can continue to support us in. So fundraising is always helpful. I know for any of the organizations on the call right now, I'm sure that is really a helpful way to support if you can. And then one other thing I would just say, because I always think these alternative spring breaks are social justice in action, so I would say if anyone's needing a little inspiration, I mean, this is specific to GMHC, but I think it can be inspiring generally, and it's very easy. We're all home watching more Netflix than usual. There's a great documentary on Netflix called How to Survive a Plague. I think it came out in 2012, and it's specifically a great history of the AIDS epidemic when that started in 1981. And then it also, this kind of social justice piece, is it focuses on an activist group called ACT UP, who were really fierce, on the ground activists doing incredible work, specifically targeting the Food and Drug Administration in terms of how rapid they were testing drugs that could be helpful for folks who were positive, saying they weren't actually moving fast enough in that process. And the interesting part, considering what's happening right now, is Dr. Fauci, who's, everyone's star epidemiologist right now, he plays a big part in that, because he's been in that position for a long time, and he actually was a big target of ACT UP, and then he had a turnaround and really started to become an ally to ACT UP and the community. So anyway, but it is just a very inspiring look at how you can really do activism and be active and make your voice heard. And I know even now, there's a lot of social injustice going on with how things are playing out. And so there are even now ways that you can, from home, be an activist, even if you can't come through our doors, through all these organizations' doors, and help, hands-on in that way. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Thanks, Shelley. Finally, Beth and Cynthia. Beth, you're muted.
Doing it. Yeah, couldn't make it through without someone doing it, right? Sorry. I think the silver lining in all of this that we is that kindness truly has is showing its way through many people, and I think all of our Buck-I-SERV students that we've had, I always commend each and every one of them for choosing to do this on their breaks. So I think it just goes hand in hand. Our families, our children, Cynthia did an awesome job trying to keep her 3-year-old out of the shot, if you saw her moving and grooving a little bit. And she's got a different job than many of our families. She's an administrator, in a leadership role for our organization. But not many of our families are on Zoom conferences, as so many are throughout the country. In their homes, there's not the books and the cozy little play areas and all of that probably many of us grew up with. So we are really, really trying to, not only with our lessons through Facebook and social media and all the ways we're communicating with our parents, but, remembering what are those hands-on activities. 4 weeks to 5-year-olds don't need workbooks and all that computer time. They learn by touching and moving and grooving. So, you don't have to have that $1 million or go to whatever toy store. What is around your house that you can learn with, and we take it for granted. Everybody knows what you can do with a toilet paper roll. That has a whole new meaning at this point. Let's just try to get the paper. But when you do and it's empty, what you can do with that, and helping our parents understand that something so simple can be part of the learning. They think we're all, magicians that we do every day. So I encourage, it's so funny. It's not just students, Buck-I-SERV students that have been in education. We've had the engineers, and oh my gosh, some of the ones that I think, how are they ever going to like really get into this during this week of being with us? And it never fails. The guys, I don't know how, I'm not stereotyping, they're the first to get in the infant room. And right, Cynthia? I mean, it's just crazy. I'm like, God, I knew they gotcha, that your heart is rolling right away. So, Connor has all our information. You could tag us on Facebook, read a story. Don't read us Harry Potter. Our kids they're too little. Get the kid out in you, smile, share a story, have some fun. When we get back, we don't know when that is, and it's really, really hard. They just did some COVID testing for our community finally for the past 3 days. And that's hard because, all the farmers and all the packing houses, and they're all just so jam-packed and so many people in homes. So hopefully within the week, we'll kind of know our counts a little bit better. We need to be open more than ever, but when we do, we can virtually connect with any of the students at any time. You can, you don't want to see us, you want to see the kids, and we can definitely do that. And I think through all of this, we can have all the painting projects and all that. I think one of the things that I love about having the students is the interaction, because we have all these crazy milestones and foundations that we have to build with our students. I think the amazing thing is, even for all our chemistry and all these different majors that would never connect with anything that seems in our world, kindness and talking and getting to their level, the connections that are made are incredible, and the gains that our children have just in a week's time. I mean, there's tears at the end of every single week. So I think especially in this time of quarantine and feelings and how we feel, our little guys are just going to be thriving on interaction and so virtually we'll connect with you, and we can show us something where you're from, whether you're from Columbus or wherever the students are at that point. Show us something. That's a learning experience for our children. So we are unlimited on possibilities. Obviously, as a nonprofit, we are always doing donations that can be done on Facebook or directly or in all our newsletters. We're doing collections. It comes with cost, and availability across the whole country is obviously limited, but cleaning supplies and books and just things that are not in our children's homes. We could always make arrangements if there was some type of drive for that, but obviously there's shipping costs and all that. We can always make sure that any donations go towards that from our Buck-I-SERV students. So we just look forward. Send us a lesson, send us a song, dance, gross motor, yoga, anything. Get them involved, and I promise you'll have fun. You cannot embarrass yourself. If we've all made it through Zoom, you can definitely entertain our little one. So, and you can reach out to us at any time. It's info@pathwaysearlyeducation.org. That goes directly to me, and I'm monitoring with my many hats right now, Facebook and all of that. So thank you all.
Cool. Thank you, Beth. Anyone who's interested in reading a book, I can personally attest from my time at Pathways that The Cat in the Hat is much longer than I think it is. So we're actually at the end of our hour, and it's been great hearing from all of you, and thank you so much. I just had a couple more things I want to share with those who are participating on the call real quick. First is the We Are Here For You page from OSU Student Life. So for anyone who is struggling during this time, whether it's financially or wellness related or mental health or anything in between, Ohio State Student Life has put together wonderful resources for faculty, staff, and students to be able to access and utilize those during a difficult time. Our friends over in the Fisher College for Business are hosting a socially responsible leadership volunteering during COVID-19 on Tuesday, May 19th. So we've worked with them a lot in the past, so I encourage anyone to check that out. And finally, our friends over in Pay It Forward, which is Columbus's local service program run through Ohio State, have put together a list of local service opportunities that people can participate in virtually. And as we just spoke about in this last question, we're actually going to send something out to everyone. So if you want to send us anything that you have, it's a way we can support you virtually. We'd be happy to do that. But that's all I have for you all today. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for sharing your stories. Thank you all who participated. It's been wonderful getting to see you all, and have a great rest of your afternoon. And if you need anything from us at Buck-I-SERV, feel free to reach out.
All right. Thanks very much. Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.